Previously, we looked at the longest chapter in the Pentateuch portion of the Torah, so the 5 books of Moses. It was pretty long, and today we're going to be picking up that gauntlet and continuing on with exploring more of the idea of how the Levites became property of God and the priesthood to service God and the tabernacle, to maintain and operate the tabernacle. They don't worship the tabernacle, they just maintain it, transport it, take it down, set it up. Bunch of good old boys. Numbers 8:1. And the Lord said to Moses, 8:2. Say to Aaron, when you set up and light the lamps, the 7 lamps shall be made to give light in front of the lampstand. 8:3. And Aaron did so. He lighted the lamps of the lampstand to give light in front of it, as the Lord commanded Moses. So now we are looking at the procedure in which the lampstand is being lit. The menorah is being lit up. Some of the commentators I saw suggest that it was first lit in the middle, and then with wicks it was then lit from the middle to each of the branches from the inside out, for a symbology of all light comes from Christ and then it kind of filters out into the world. Some sort of metaphor that way. And I must admit, that does sound pretty cool. Other commentators interpret this as more the direction or the orientation of the menorah, that it would be parallel to the wall or curtain or whatever, so that the light would really face inwards and light up the entirety of the inside of the tent of meeting. And I'm more leaning towards that. When I first read this verse, it's like, well, they're lined up to light up the space, and I think that would be the most efficient way to do that. I could see arguments being made for the other direction. It's like, well, you got the Holy of Holies in the back there, so if it's facing towards the Holy of Holies, maybe some of the light from the menorah would be able to bleed through, and you'd have more light if they were parallel to the door or perpendicular to the wall, so the other direction. The question becomes, what is the front side of the lampstand? I mean, you could debate that, but Aaron apparently knew what it was, and he followed the directions that the Lord gave, so that's a good thing. Numbers 8:4. And this was the workmanship of the candlestick, beaten or turned gold, beaten work of gold, from its base to its flowers, according to the pattern which the Lord had shown Moses, so he made the lampstand. The menorah is very interesting by its design. It is made of beaten gold, so it is solid. So it is a solid gold candlestick. And so there's a stick portion that goes straight up, and on the top of that there is a bulb that can support some oil and a wick, and that's how the flame gets lit. But there's not just one, there's 7. So there's the central pillar, and then there is 3 other ones on each side. So 6 additional vessels that are capable of holding oil and therefore fire and therefore light. So it's a pretty big, pretty fancy, very heavy, solid gold candlestick. When you think of a Jewish candlestick, what you're probably thinking of is a menorah. So that's kind of the generalized shape of a menorah. This is just an incredibly important and well-crafted version of that. Numbers 8:5. And the Lord said to Moses, 8:6. Take the Levites from among the Israelites and cleanse them. 8:7. And thus you shall do to them to cleanse them. Sprinkle the water of purification, water to be used in case of sin, upon them, and let them pass a razor over all their flesh, and wash their clothes, and cleanse them. Previously, we saw God make an exchange. He took his right that he obtained at the Passover event when he saved the Israelites from the hands of the Egyptians, when he slayed all the firstborn and protected the Israelites from that fate. He took possession of their firstborns from then on, and now he is exchanging the firstborns for the tribe of Levi. And as such, the Levites are going to be consecrated and holy unto the Lord. And this is just a procedure for preparing them for that duty, getting them all cleaned up and prepared for God's use, now that he has taken ownership or possession of the Levites. Numbers 8:8. Then let them take a young bull and its cereal offering of fine flour mixed with oil, and another young bull you shall take for a sin offering. First, there is the physical preparation, the physical washing and cleaning, the shaving of the hair, the cutting of the hair to kind of start anew as new individuals working under God. And after that procedure is completed, we have this other procedure dealing with the sin. And we have these offerings being made now to cleanse the Levites even more, so that they will be holy and consecrated unto the Lord. Numbers 8:9. You shall present the Levites before the tent of meeting, and you shall assemble the whole Israelite congregation. So now we are going to have a ceremony for this cleansing procedure to take place. And this is very similar to what we saw previously with a sin offering, as we'll see in a second. Numbers 8:10. And you shall present the Levites before the Lord, and the Israelites shall put their hands upon the Levites. 8:11. And Aaron shall offer the Levites before the Lord as a wave offering from the Israelites and on their behalf, that they may do the service of the Lord. So we have the Levites here. They're near the tent of meeting, and we have the Israelite congregation being witness, and we have the laying on of hands. And we remember before with God transferring the ownership of the firstborn to purchase the Levites. So this is the same as the transfer of the sin from the person to the animal before the animal is slain. So we have the people of Israel laying their hands on the Levites, transferring ceremonially that aspect of the firstborn from themselves or whatever to the Levites, so that they will be able to take on that role, to take up that burden, to be the possession of the Lord. Numbers 8:12. Then the Levites shall lay their hands upon the heads of the bulls, and you shall offer the one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering to the Lord, to make atonement for the Levites. So in the way that it was transferred to the Levites from the Israelites, now the Levites are transferring their sin and their iniquity to these animals before their sacrifice, so that they can take the place and cleanse them, so that they can be holy and consecrated unto the Lord. Numbers 8:13. And you shall present the Levites before Aaron and his sons, and offer them as a wave offering to the Lord. It's quite cool that this is being done as a wave offering. And we've seen wave offerings before, where the priest, he would like grab that chunk of meat and he'd be waving that before the Lord, and it was a way of offering it to the Lord. And then the priest, he gets to keep what he's waving at the end. So he's taken stewardship over whatever it was that was offered to the Lord. And we have the priest here doing that with the tribe of Levite, that the Levites are going to become helpers to the priests. And this is where like the priestly tribe comes from, that they are the helpers of the priests because they've been offered to them for their discretion and use and whatnot. So it's pretty cool, really. Numbers 8:14. Thus you shall separate the Levites from among the Israelites, and the Levites shall be mine in a very special sense. There's many different aspects to this, and they all had to come together for this to work out, for this system to be viable. There's very strict rules on these kind of things, and we see that God follows the rules. We have the exchange of the firstborn for the tribe of Levi. We have the Levites being cleansed and prepared. Then we have the Levites being offered to the Lord, and the Lord taking ownership of the Levites for his purposes. So there's a whole bunch of different steps in place for this transaction to happen. I mean, he could have just said, hey, you guys over there, you're working with me. But that's not what he did. He set all this up. And it's much more elaborate and interesting that way. And it follows all of the other systems that were dictated previously in the book of Leviticus, and some of the rules on the mount as well. So there's certain rules, and God follows the rules. And that's kind of cool. He's not just arbitrary, making stuff up as he goes. He has it all figured out and planned out ahead of time. It's pretty neat, really. Numbers 8:15. And after that, the Levites shall go in to do service at the tent of meeting, when you have cleansed them and offered them as a wave offering. 8:16. For they are wholly given to me from among the Israelites, instead of all who open the womb, the firstborn of all the Israelites. I have taken the Levites for myself. 8:17. For all the firstborn of the Israelites are mine, both man and beast. On the day that I smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt, not of Israel, I consecrated them and set them apart for myself. 8:18. And I have taken the Levites instead of all the firstborn of the Israelites. 8:19. And I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and to his sons from among the Israelites, to do the service of the Israelites at the tent of meeting, and to make atonement for them, that they may be no plague among the Israelites, if they should come near the sanctuary. So now we have the more condensed version of this, how this all comes together and how this system works, and how God was able to transfer the Levites from being their own independent tribe to being in service to the priesthood. We often refer to the Levites as being the priestly tribe, but in reality they are servants to the priests themselves. I suppose they are servants of God, so it goes from God to the priest to the Levites to the Israelites. Of course, this was the old system, the old hierarchy, and it's different now. The new hierarchy is much shorter, and that is through Jesus, and he is the only path. Numbers 8:20. So Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the Israelites did thus to the Levites, according to all that the Lord commanded Moses concerning them. So did the Israelites to them. 8:21. The Levites cleansed and purified themselves, and they washed their clothes. And Aaron offered them as a wave offering before the Lord, and Aaron made atonement for them to cleanse them. 8:22. And after the Levites went in to do their service in the tent of meeting, with the attendance of Aaron and his sons, as the Lord had commanded Moses concerning the Levites, so did they to them. So first we had the long version, then we had the short version, and now we have them actually doing it and being obedient and following through with what was directed by the Lord. And because we just went over all this, we'll continue on. Numbers 8:23. And the Lord said to Moses. 8:24. This is what applies to the Levites from 25 years old and upward. They shall go in to perform the work of the service of the tent of meeting. 8:25, and at the age of 50 years they shall retire from the warfare of the service and serve no more. There has been a lot of surveys in the last several chapters. We had surveys on men that would be of military fighting age. We had surveys of the firstborn. We had the children of the Levites and how many of them there were. And now we're looking at employment. And this actually isn't even a survey, so I don't even know why I brought that up. Other than that we just had all those surveys going on, and this is a different age range than what we've seen previously. I kind of wonder if it was set up like this as a method of obfuscating the amount of individuals that would be working in the tribe of Levi and all the sub-tribes of the tribe of Levi as well. Because the age ranges were all different, we don't really necessarily know how many there was that were actually working. And that's kind of interesting. Numbers 8:26, but shall help their brethren in the tent of meeting, attend to protecting the sacred things from being profaned, but shall do no regular or heavy service. Thus shall you direct the Levites in regard to their duties. So we have them working from 25 years old till they are 50 years old. And afterwards they retire and they still work at things, but they're not taking on the harsh burdens anymore. So that's kind of interesting. But that's the end of the chapter.